Evelyn Harding sat at her polished oak kitchen table, the soft hum of the Arizona night the only sound apart from the rhythmic ticking of the antique mantel clock. It was exactly 11:02 p.m., 2 nights before the family trip she had meticulously planned, funded, and dreamed about for 3 long years. Her reading glasses rested near the end of her nose. She had just finished placing the last of the travel-size sunscreens into the zippered mesh bags, labeling each one by hand. Her fingers were still sticky with tape from wrapping small souvenir bags containing local candies and keychains that bore the cheerful words, "Aloha" and "Grandma loves you." Then the phone buzzed, cutting the silence. It was a text from her son, Daniel. "You won't be joining us. My wife prefers to keep the vacation just for her family. You've already done your part by paying. The card didn't go through. You should understand your place." The words hung in the air, a devastating sentence structure that turned a 3-year dream into a 3-second dismissal. She did not reply. She simply stared at the glowing screen until the light faded, then placed the phone face down on the table. Daniel hadn't called. He hadn't offered a kind lie. He delivered a cold, corporate reshuffling of their family structure, where the woman who had raised him had become, in his own words, not part of her family. Evelyn knew things had been shifting. It wasn't just the way Sierra, her daughter-in-law, corrected her in front of the children, or the habitual way Sierra rolled her eyes whenever Evelyn shared stories of her own honeymoon with Arthur in Hawaii. It wasn't even the fact that Sierra had started hosting holidays at her mother's sprawling suburban home, often forgetting to mention the change until the day before. What truly told Evelyn everything she needed to know was the way Sierra looked past her, like a waitress at a restaurant who had already dropped off the check. Still, Evelyn never thought Daniel would agree to such an exclusion. He was the boy who used to bring her pink tulips every March, the one who wrote Mother's Day cards that made her weep, and who, in 2nd grade, drew her a picture where she wore a billowing cape with the caption, "My mom saves the day." Apparently, she was no longer part of that heroic story. She looked at the small duffel bag she had packed for herself. Inside were 2 vibrant sundresses, a photo of her late husband Arthur, referred to as James in the source, which she intended to place on the dinner table during their beach night, and a small box of matches for the lavender candle she wanted them all to light in his memory. Evelyn realized she was uninvited. She had paid for the beachfront villa, booked the flights, and organized every detail: the airport transfers, the luau tickets, the snorkeling lessons, and the breakfast baskets. She had spent hours on the phone with a travel agent, ensuring the beds were soft for the children and the walkways flat enough for Sierra's mother's bad knee. Now, she was nothing more than a line item crossed off, the ATM that wired the funds and was meant to quietly disappear. She sat in the kitchen until midnight, allowing the dim glow of the counter lights to cast long, lonely shadows. For a moment, she felt shame, the quiet, aching, hollow kind that makes you feel like a fool for hoping. She couldn't bring herself to beg Daniel to let her come. Instead, Evelyn walked slowly to her desk in the den and opened her old laptop. The screen blinked sluggishly but was familiar. She clicked open the folder named Hawaii Travel Fund. There it was, the total she had been aggressively building towards since taking early retirement, $21,763.84. The fund had started small, built from selling old furniture and tutoring English online late into the evening. Every spare dollar had gone into this trip. She had set up the travel fund account, linking all major payments, the villa, the airline tickets, the local services, to this primary source, hers. She did this because she trusted them, believing that trust was something she had earned. The cursor blinked. Her mouse hovered over the button marked Freeze Account. A simple click would halt all current and future payments. She didn't click. Not yet. Instead, she opened a blank document and started typing a list. A new list of names. Women from her church, her friend Carol, whose son hadn't spoken to her since she got cancer, Louise, who had buried her husband last fall, Frances, who helped raise her grandkids but wasn't invited to their graduations, and Beverly, who told her no one had ever taken a picture of her on the beach. She saved the file, returned to the banking page, and pressed the button. Freeze. A prompt appeared. Are you sure you want to pause all linked transactions? She clicked yes. All linked cards will be disabled immediately. Yes. Evelyn leaned back, closed the laptop, and took a deep, shuddering breath. She unwrapped the souvenir keychains she had made for her grandchildren and placed them on the table. For the first time in 3 years, she allowed herself to imagine a different kind of trip, one where she was not unwanted, not a burden, and certainly not a footnote, but rather a central host. She smiled, not out of revenge, but out of profound clarity. The entire odyssey had started with a jar. An old mason jar she kept hidden and privately called the dream jar. Every time Evelyn skipped a small purchase, vitamins, a movie rental, new house shoes, she slipped the equivalent amount into the jar. For 3 years, she saved, canceling cable, tutoring online even when her joints ached, turning the heat down aggressively at night, and declining invitations to lunch. The destination, Hawaii, St. Croix in the rephrased version, was a powerful symbol. She and Arthur had gone there for their honeymoon, young, barely married, and completely broke, sharing a single suitcase and splitting sandwiches. He got sunburned so badly he wore a bedsheet like a cape, and they laughed constantly. After his death, she promised herself she would bring the family back, hoping it would remind Daniel of where he came from and who had loved him first. She planned meticulously, researching villas for all 9 people, securing wheelchair access for Sierra's mother, and even ordering custom t-shirts with "Family is Forever 2023" printed on them. She chose a beachfront home with a fire pit, envisioning them lighting the lavender candle and saying one good word to describe Arthur, while she held his photo. But none of that happened. Somewhere along the path, Evelyn ceased being part of the picture. It was literal omission. Tanya, referred to as Tanya in the source, would insist on one of just the kids, then one with just our family unit, leaving no time for a photo with Evelyn. At Christmas, they all wore matching red sweaters, while Evelyn's was blue. She hadn't even been told of the plan. Sierra started hosting everything at her mother's place, and Evelyn was introduced merely as "Nathan's mom is here too," as if she had wandered in uninvited. Sierra always smiled, but Evelyn understood that harm sometimes comes with exclusion and omission, with being the one left out of every photo, every story, and every seat at the table. She clung to the trip, believing the Hawaiian sky and the children's laughter would remind them that love was enough. But the single text exposed the truth. You've already done your part by paying. They didn't want her stories or her memories. They just wanted her money. That night, Evelyn packed away the lavender candle and Arthur's photo. The painful questions settled in the silence. When did I become a burden in the family I built? The next afternoon, she checked her email and saw the travel agency's final confirmation. She scrolled slowly, searching for confirmation of what she already suspected. There were 8 names listed: Daniel, Sierra, their 2 children, Sierra's parents, Sierra's sister, and Sierra's sister's boyfriend. Her name was nowhere. Just 8 plane tickets, 8 gate passes, 8 guests registered at the villa. Later, Sierra called, sounding overly cheerful. I hope everything's set on your end, money-wise. I think the final payment hits tomorrow, right? When Evelyn gently asked if she should pack anything, Sierra quickly cut her off, the cheer laced with steel. Marilyn, we've got it all handled. You really don't need to worry. In fact, we were thinking it might be best if you took this trip to rest. Stay home, focus on you. They presented her exclusion as a favor. Evelyn went to her lockbox and reviewed the travel fund documents. In bold letters, account holder, Marilyn Rose Monroe. Authorized users, none. No cosigners. No shared ownership. No alternate access. Her account status was active, $21,763.84 on deposit. They had assumed she would be too passive and too grateful for crumbs to notice their omission. They forgot who raised them. Evelyn opened the banking app again. She marked the departure day on her calendar. They were scheduled to leave LAX at 10:45 a.m. She decided the freeze should begin at precisely 8:15 a.m., just as they queued up at the gate, confident everything had been paid for. She sent Daniel one last chance, Let me know if you'd like any help with the kids' bags or snacks before the trip. I can bring some extra motion sickness bands for Olivia. The message was read, but no reply came, not even an acknowledgement. That's when Evelyn realized it was pure entitlement, the quiet cruelty of people who think love is a one-way transaction. She returned to the app and clicked. Freeze mode activated. All transactions are now paused. Manual authorization required to resume.
Done.
There would be no warning. They would find out in the most silent, undeniable way possible. Over the next 2 days, Evelyn maintained silence. She didn't comment when Sierra posted a photo of matching beach hats. When her granddaughter sent a voice note about seeing sea turtles, Evelyn saved it and said aloud, "I'm sorry, baby, but someone had to teach your parents the value of presents." Evelyn opened a new spreadsheet titled Those Who Deserve to Be Seen. She listed the names: Carol, Beverly, Louise, Frances, Nora, Denise, and Lucille. Each was a woman like her. Overlooked, underestimated, and overused. This time, the trip would be about restoration, not reward. They left for the airport with their matching luggage, assuming everything was paid for. Sierra posted a photo on Instagram. Off to paradise, family only. Then, the messages arrived. Daniel, 8:20 a.m. Hey, getting weird error at check-in. Can you check the travel account real quick? Evelyn did not reply. The calls began. Back-to-back voicemails. Voicemail, 8:45 a.m. Mom, I'm not sure what's going on, but we can't get the rental confirmed. It's saying funds unavailable. Mom, please. The kids are freaking out. Evelyn kept the phone face down. At 9:15 a.m., Daniel's voice changed to a low, urgent whisper. Mom, I don't know what you did, but if this is because of a text, can we please talk? Still no apology. Only an offer to negotiate. Evelyn remained silent. The resort confirmed the cancellation via email. Dear Miss Monroe, we have processed the requested cancellation of your villa booking due to the account freeze. Associated charges have been reversed as per your authority as the sole account holder. At 10:40 a.m., Nathan texted again, we're boarding. Call me please. But Evelyn did not call. They took off without a place to land because money is only a guarantee when backed by trust, and they had broken theirs. The phone went silent. Then one final message arrived from Daniel. Look, if this was about what we said, maybe we messed up, okay? I don't know. Things got twisted. But the kids are here, they're excited. We can still fix this. Please, just unlock the account. I promise we'll talk everything through when we get back. They wanted the money, and they were willing to postpone the apology. They wanted forgiveness without confession. Evelyn did not unlock the account. She did not answer the message. She did not explain herself, understanding that sometimes silence is the only reply strong enough to be heard. The full refund arrived 2 days later in small, satisfying notifications. $21, $763.84 was hers again. This time, she would spend it differently. On those who deserved to be seen. She made 6 phone calls. Each conversation was met with disbelief. You want to take me where? Hawaii? For 1 whole week? No catch? But why me? Evelyn's answer was always the same. Because someone should. Because you matter. She booked the trip under her own name. She had Arthur's photo, referred to as James in the source, enlarged and framed in soft walnut wood. When they arrived at the beautiful villa, Evelyn set Arthur's photo squarely on the grand dining table. No one questioned it. That night, they sat together under hanging lights. Beverly toasted to finally being somewhere she didn't have to clean after. Frances cried when she saw the view. They didn't talk about who forgot them. They talked about who they remembered. Each subsequent night, they lit a candle beside Arthur's photo. Each woman shared one piece of wisdom they wished they had known at 30. I see you. You don't have to earn love. Your story matters. You are never invisible. Evelyn realized she hadn't just taken them on vacation. She had brought them home, to each other and back to themselves. Memory, when shared with the right people, becomes legacy. The inevitable email arrived 3 days after Evelyn returned. Hi Mom, we're back now. It was, well, not quite what we imagined. A lot went wrong, obviously, and I guess some of that was our fault. Tanya says, "Hi, by the way. She was really stressed and didn't mean to exclude you like that. We're in a bit of a bind financially. We had to rebook a bunch of stuff on credit, so I just wanted to ask if you're able, could you maybe consider returning the original deposit we gave for the trip, or even part of it? I know you probably feel hurt, but we're still family, just let me know." Evelyn read the request to return the original deposit repeatedly. They wanted a refund, not healing, not reconciliation. She checked her transaction history. Every dollar had come from her account. They were asking her to cover the cost of their choices. She closed her eyes and pictured the 6 women laughing at the table in St. Croix, Arthur smiling from his walnut frame. Then she thought of Daniel's email, the lack of a real apology, the excuses, the convenient blame placed on Tanya's stress, and the suggestion that she should just passively understand. Evelyn knew that understanding did not mean surrender, and love without respect is not love at all. She hovered over the reply button, then closed the email. She owed them nothing. If you need to explain why you won't refund betrayal, the person asking never deserved an explanation in the first place. She poured iced tea and looked out the window. She smiled, not the strained smile of compliance, but the smile that comes from realizing the profound truth. You were never the problem. That's when the words came, quiet as the wind. Kindness breeds entitlement. So, she thought, I erased that kindness. And now I owe nothing to anyone. She was finally free from the expectations that had only drained her. She stood at the shoreline, letting the waves pull at the sand, feeling lighter than she had in decades. She looked back at the villa, glowing softly behind her, and at her chosen family. Her heart was no longer begging to be seen. Evelyn had not been left behind. She had simply found the ones who were walking her way.